This is an emergency video that I wasn't going to make, but Bitcoin is dumping and I'm already starting to see people panic. And I mean, I kind of saw this move coming. And so I just want to go over it. And I want to go over one thing, okay? Because I've been getting a lot of hate lately. People are calling me perma bears. People are saying that I'm delusional and whatever else, this, that, and the other. Bitcoin can never go down here. Bitcoin can never do this. Bitcoin can never do that. And I'm not here to rant for you. I'm not your dad, but I just want to encourage you really to just listen to what I'm about to say, okay? Because I've been around the block, I've experienced all the emotions, and here's what I'm going to say. I'm not your dad, but here's what I'm going to say. The moment you use the word cannot or never or whatever in trading is the moment you're going to get wrecked. Listen to me. The market is allowed to be as irrational as it wants. Now, Bitcoin is only down 1.5% so far on the day, but people are already panicking. And it's because people are expecting all-time high, up only, when in reality, it's not that simple. And even today on live, I had people go, no, Geo, it'll never go here. It could never do here. I even post questionnaires, those polls saying what comes first, 70K or 75K or 53K. And people are saying, nah, man, the low's in. Haha, you idiot. Did you not buy the low? The low is in. And it'll never go here again. It'll never do this. It can't do this. Guys, listen to me. Yes, it can. The market is allowed to be as irrational as it wants to be. It can go to 60K. It can go to 50K. It can go to 40K. It can go to 20K if it wants to, okay? Just like it can go to 100K. I'm not saying it can't do both sides of it. It can do whatever it wants to do. And the quicker you wrap your head around that, the better you will be. And I'm going to give you a little secret. It doesn't care about your ETFs. It doesn't care about your inflows. It doesn't care about Trump speaking this weekend. It doesn't care. The market is allowed to be as irrational as it wants to be. And it doesn't care that it's a bull market. It doesn't care because even in bull markets, you have minus 50% moves. Where are we minus 50% from right now? Right now, Bitcoin is 64K. Half of that is 32K. Yes, it can go to 30K. I'm not saying it's going to, but it can. And that's something that a lot of people hate on me for because I say it can do this and it can do that. Oh, the cycle, this. Guys, the cycle's broken. It can do whatever it wants. The market can be as irrational as it wants. And I want to go over really quickly what's going on here, okay? So obviously we're on Bitcoin. Obviously we have a little bit of a dump right now, okay? We were talking about it. We were in a resistance zone. We're already short. We took scalp short yesterday on stream. We took a scalp short today on stream. So we're way chilling in the shorts right now. I also mentioned I'm not long. Now we are officially in a long zone. And you can see that we have this 8-hour low, okay? I mentioned it a few times in the last few videos as well. And we're going to get to Ethereum because Ethereum is really telling a story here, okay? My last few videos, I talked about Ethereum. We're going to get here in a second. But long story short, Bitcoin is probably going to range around here, okay? It's probably going to range. I think it's either going to range or continue to go down. This is a pretty bearish looking day. I think it's either going to range or continue going down. I don't think we're going to bounce back up to this, high 60s today or tomorrow or anything like that. I think it's probably going to be a red rest of the week. However, this 8-hour low is very important because this is your structure point. And I said it many times, if you start to lose this low, guys, you got a lot of liquidity beneath us that we could absolutely make a run for. So I'm just saying that. Now, the interesting thing about this structure and why I'm pretty confident that we're going to range here as opposed to just bouncing up right away is because although this is your 8-hour low, on every other time frame, 6-hour down, your structure is at the exact same point. And what do I mean by that? I mean, on the 6-hour, your structure currently is this, okay? This is your current 6-hour structure. We might skip some points, whatever, but this is your current 6-hour structure, okay? So your high on your 6-hour is here. But not only is your high here on the 6-hour, this is also your 4-hour high. This is also your, oh, that was on the 4-hour. This is your 6-hour high. This is your 4-hour high. This is your 3-hour high. This is your 2-hour high. This is your 1-hour high. This is your 45-minute high, 30-minute high, 15-minute high. Every single high right now, every single high on, I mean, virtually every single high from the 8-hour and down or 6-hour and down. This is your strong point, okay? When you have your structure lining up like this on multiple time frames, it's typically a strong point, okay? So I wouldn't actually expect us to come back up to here, to be honest. I think that we could potentially come quite lower. We know we have this liquidity here, but we are in a long zone. I am absolutely not disputing that. And I'm not looking to gig along right now or long right now. This could absolutely just be the higher low to make a higher high, right? On the 8-hour time frame, because then structure will be respected. However, if we start losing this low, things can get a little bit more scary. And I just want to recap, okay? I want to recap why I was a little bit more bearish on Bitcoin and how I used Ethereum to help me with that. Now, I just posted a tweet saying, guys, Ethereum can go down a lot more than it did already. Ethereum, I've been very bearish on. I've been talking about it. And I actually made a video last week talking about how Ethereum is starting to look weak. And the thing about Ethereum, guys, you need to understand is that Bitcoin and Ethereum work in tandem. I say it all the time. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go back and forth. We're going to flip between Bitcoin and flip between Ethereum and discuss this very important level because it matters where they are in relation to each other. This high on the daily time frame, which is a video that I made last week, okay, is relative to this high on Bitcoin. As you can see, Bitcoin took its high, Ethereum did not. Okay? Not only did Ethereum not take its high, but it was showing extreme signs of a distribution here at the highs. And that's what the video that I explained yesterday was. Not to mention, we have easy liquidity that we can grab. And specifically, Ethereum loves trend lines. It loves trend lines. The problem is when it breaks the trend lines, it typically gets rinsed the way that it's getting rinsed right now, right? Bitcoin's only down 1.5%, but Ethereum is down almost 4%. And the market, or the new candle, has been open for 2 hours, okay? So this very well may be a minus 10%, minus 15% day. I'm not saying it's going to, and we're not going to dive into crazy analysis like that, but it absolutely could be, okay? Now, with that being said, you know, Ethereum is interesting. So we had the signs of the distribution while Bitcoin was also in a short zone, which is why I've been publicly bearish on Bitcoin up at this level, right? So a lot of, okay, not a lot, but contrary to popular belief, whatever, people are expecting a higher low for a higher high. And that's very possible. Okay, it's very possible. We've been talking about the CME gaps that we haven't filled. Now, in Bitcoin's history, we only have not filled, don't worry about this drawing, but we only have not filled the CME gap, I believe, one time, and I believe it's at 20K, which, remember what I said, it can do whatever it wants. It could go for that. I'm not saying it's going to, but it could, just like it could go to 100K next week. You know, you can't say it can't do something. It could do whatever it wants. Okay, so if Bitcoin were to come down towards the CME gap, most people are going to be looking at this golden pocket. Okay, most people are going to be looking at the golden pocket, which perfectly lines up actually very well with the idea of this CME gap fill. So that all makes sense. And if you see a nice structure flip at that point, and you'd have to be at a significant structure point because at that point, your 8-hour, probably your 12-hour. Let's check 12-hour. Yep, your 8-hour, this is a 12-hour low as well. So 12-hour structure would have to flip back to bullish, right? People are expecting this kind of play, which is absolutely possible. I mean, we talk about liquidity all the time. We have liquidity towards the all-time highs. However, the problem with this is you're going to be flipping 12-hour structure back to bearish. And I actually think it's daily structure, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is actually daily structure. So your daily structure flips back to bearish if you get this. So unless you get a nice daily flip back to bullish again, it's not really likely that this is going to happen. But I don't want to talk about necessarily just Bitcoin because we already know we have a lot of liquidity beneath us and that we're never supposed to say never, okay? Never say never. It could come back down all the way to 53 if it wants to. I'm not saying it's going to, but it could. Now, the thing I want to talk about, the interesting thing is Ethereum, okay? Because Ethereum and Bitcoin, like I said, they work in tandem. And Ethereum has been showing us the signs. When you have your structure, remember, this is the point that's relative to Bitcoin's high, okay, on the daily time frame. When you have your structure that looks like this, which is kind of what Ethereum has, and then you got wicks all over the highs, what you can opt to do is actually not count this as a break. This doesn't really look breaky to me. This looks more like weakness to me. Because why did Ethereum come all the way back up here only to break 1%, less than 1%? It's kind of weird, right? Now, when this happens, your technical target, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but your technical target becomes this low. Remember when I said Ethereum doesn't like to take liquidity and Ethereum loves trend lines? I'm going to show you. This low that we put in on Ethereum never took out this low, which never took out this. Oh, actually, sorry, it did take out the second low, but it did not take out this big boy low. So Ethereum's liquidity has been intact for basically 3 months. Okay, unlike Bitcoin, which has taken the low, which is more bullish, right? Bitcoin is more bullish. Ethereum is looking very weak. very weak. We're having an SFP of this daily level, which indicates this to be your level in itself, your target for the short is this low. You already know that you have quite a lot of liquidity beneath us that we could come get that, and it didn't mitigate anything. And this move didn't even take the important liquidity, which didn't even give us an accumulation at the low anyways, right? So Ethereum is looking very weak. Now, there is a long zone right under these lows, which I think Ethereum could make its way to. And I think it could happen rather fast. Like I said, this could end up being a minus 10%, minus 15% day. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I feel like it's been quite a while since we've had one of those days. And if there's any time for it to happen, it's probably around now because of all the liquidity and the way that things are set up here. And, that's important to know. And another thing that I want to bring up is dominance. Dominance, I've been very bullish on. I've been publicly very bullish on dominance. I believe that a big move, whichever way it goes, whether Bitcoin goes up or Bitcoin goes down, I believe dominance is going to take this high. I've said that on the channel many times. I've said that on the previous videos many times. And right now, the idea, remember, you got to pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing relative to Ethereum, okay, and vice versa. Ethereum struggled to get above its daily high. We had SFPs all over the place, and dominance is rising, and you can already see it. Which by the way, if you don't know, means that your alts are going to bleed against Bitcoin. And that you can already see, right? Bitcoin's down 1.7%. Ethereum is already down 4%. Okay? So your alts are bleeding against Bitcoin. And this is worrisome because this means that Ethereum can actually obtain its target, which is this low potentially, at the same time that Bitcoin may only decide that it wants to bounce at the golden pocket, which, hey, that's a fair game, right? That's a fair game, right? We need to pay attention to where your prices are relative to each other. And as long as they're both within key zones, it makes sense. So what I'm seeing right now is in the event that Bitcoin decides to keep dumping, which it doesn't have to right now, it could, but in the event that it decides to keep dumping and it decides to, what I believe is the likely scenario, which is fill the CME gap, then Ethereum will likely continue to bleed heavily against Bitcoin and probably come down and take all this liquidity. And so I believe it'll be somewhat of a signal of strength if Ethereum gets a structure flip confirmation after finally purging some of its liquidity to the lows, given around, that was the wrong sentence, but around the same area that Bitcoin decides to hit its golden pocket if it's going to happen, right? Because like I said, altcoins are going to bleed against Bitcoin. If Bitcoin decides to come down another 10%, you better believe your ass that, man, my words today. I mean, if Bitcoin falls 10%, Ethereum is going to fall more than 13%. Okay? And so this is how we can use them in tandem and how, I mean, like I said, I was more bearish on Bitcoin because Ethereum was looking like shit here. And Ethereum has failed to flip daily structure, right? The whole narrative with Bitcoin is Bitcoin flip daily structure, Bitcoin flip daily structure. We should be looking for a higher low to make a higher high. And though that is potentially true, we'd have to wait for confirmation. I am sure as hell not trying to catch any knife. No way. And especially when Ethereum is looking as weak as it is, what happens if this Bitcoin high was just a fake out, right? You know that this is your internal daily low now. So if we do end up coming down to the golden pocket, your daily structure has now flipped back to bearish, which where does that make your automatic target? Back at 53K. Now listen, I'm not saying this video to spread FUD. I'm not saying we're not going to all-time high. What I am saying is that right now the market is not looking great. It's not. Bitcoin was at a short zone and Ethereum really struggled at these highs. Dominance is up and your alts are bleeding. And look, when we were way up on Bitcoin, if you've been around the channel, you see that you've seen this chart. When we were way up here, I was talking dominance. If we touch this high and dominance hits that level, right? Dominance hits this level up here, then you might have an altcoin season. But even when we were at the very lows, I was saying it regardless, right? When we were at the highs, I was saying it. When we were at the lows, I was saying it. If this high gets hit before this low, you might get an altcoin season. If this low gets hit before this high, because I believe either way it goes, dominance is going to rise, your altcoins are going to die. And I am virtually one of the only ones that keep it real with you and tell you that, hey, like this is not really looking that good right now. Okay. Things can bounce here. We are in a long zone. I'm not eager to long yet. I got to see confirmation big time, but things can bounce for sure. Things can bounce here. Okay. But I don't lie to you. Number one, I tell you how it is and I tell you what I see, even though I get mass hate for it. And number two, I've been openly saying for months, maybe 4 or 5 months now, that this year, certain alts are going to make new lows. I've been saying that. This is not the year for altcoins, guys. This is not altcoin season yet. Next year is the year for altcoins. This is the year of Bitcoin. And it is not uncommon for Bitcoin to come and make its highs like this, and then your alts continue to bleed against Bitcoin. Okay. And the perfect example is Atom. We talked about this as well. Guys, your bear market low of Atom happened in June of 2022. Okay. June 17, 2022 was 5.5. Guys, Atom made a new bear market low. I've been saying this 4 or 5 months ago. My example that I always used was Cardano. Okay, my example was Cardano, and I do think that Cardano can make a new low. But my point is basically that's the analysis. But to circle back around to what I said in the beginning, never say never. You can never say never. You can't say that Bitcoin can't go to 50K. Yes, it can. You can't say that it can't go to 40K. Yes, it can. It can do whatever it wants to do. You can't, and just like I can't say it's not going to go to 100K. Yes, it can. It could go to 500K. It could go to 10 million. It can do whatever it wants to do, and it can be as irrational as it wants to be. So when I say things like, oh, some altcoins are going to make new lows, you can't say no, they can't. You can't say no, they're not. Yes, they can. They can do whatever they want. It can go to zero. Look at Luna. It can do whatever it wants to do. And the sooner you learn that, the sooner you put that in your head, the better off you'll be. And one last thing I'm going to leave you with, guys. Your invalidation is your invalidation. Okay, your invalidation is not me or anyone else going into a position against you. Your invalidation is not someone else trying to convince you that it can't go down because of the inflows, or it can't go up because of the selling pressure, or whatever the case is. Your invalidation is your invalidation. It's where your stop loss is. It's where market structure makes sense. It's where liquidity makes sense. It's where you're trading alongside the market makers. It is not because somebody else in another Discord says, oh, you're an idiot. Why did you short? Because that's all I get lately. Gio, you're an idiot. Why are you shorting? Gio, you're a perma bear. Why are you shorting? This is why I'm shorting, guys. This is exactly why I'm able to identify what's happening in the chart, and I'm able to not be arrogant enough to say that, no, it can't go down. No, it's impossible to go down. No, we're in a bull market. Gio, you're an idiot. We haven't even begun. Are you sure about that? Because I'm not saying we're not in a bull. I'm not saying we're in a bear market, but I'm not saying we can't not go to 30K. Yes, you can. I'm also saying we can't not go to 100K. Yes, you can. But there's a big difference between me saying it can go and you saying it can't go. Okay? Can't is a strong word, right? I'm not saying it will go, but I'm saying it can go. So anyways, that's it for today's video, guys. If you're in a long position right now, I truly, and I don't mean this in a condescending way, I'm sorry. I hate, it sucks losing, and going through big losses is horrible, and it feels like shit. All I can say is get back on the horse, believe in yourself. Like I believe in you anyways. I changed my life so you could change yours as well. And if you're in a short, make sure you're taking profits. Make sure you're taking some off the table, because although I do still think that we can come quite lower, there's always going to be opportunities, and you should always protect yourself. So, there's instances we are in a bull market, things can just shoot back up, right? Ethereum could be $6,000 tomorrow, but did you hear what I said? It could be. It can. It could do whatever it wants. Just like it could be $6,000 tomorrow. Probably unlikely. It could be $1,000 tomorrow as well. Probably unlikely. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you're doing well. I will see you in the next video or the next stream. But yeah, don't panic. Don't FOMO. Another setup will come. Don't sweat it. It is what it is. Whoever's short, congratulations. And just remember that anything can happen, and the market can be as irrational as it wants to be.